This is activity 4, more matching moves, and this is the cool down for lesson 3, balanced moves. And in this activity, you're supposed to match these descriptions of each step with the steps up here, step 1, step 2, and step 3. So they're moving to the right, solving this equation right here. So this equation is the first equation for step 2, and this equation is the first equation for step 3. And then the solution is 4/3. So what did they do first? What was done first to get from this equation to 6x minus 3 equals 5? And I'm going to rewrite this as, 6x minus 3 equals 5. I'm going to rewrite this as 12x plus a negative 6 equals 10. So 12x plus a negative 6 equals 10. And so to get to the next step, and I'm going to do this two different ways, but to get to this equation, 6x plus a negative 3 equals 5, 6x plus a negative 3 equals 5, what was done is each term was multiplied by 1/2, which is the same as dividing by 2. So divide both sides by 2, or use the inverse operation of multiplication and the multiplicative inverse of 2, which is 1/2. Both of these are the same. If you divide something by 2, that's the same as multiplying the term by 1/2. So then they're at this step right here, 6x plus negative 3 equals 5. And then what was done to get to 6x equals 8? So you're left with the 6x, and over on this side you have 8. Can you see that a positive 3 was added to get rid of this term, and you add a positive 3 to 5, that equals this positive 8 here. So what they did is they added 3 to both sides. So add 3 to both sides. That's the additive inverse of a negative 3. So add 3 here, this becomes 0. Add 3 here, this becomes 8. And then get from 6x equals 8 to the solution, which is x equals 4/3, you're going to look at 1/6 of x. Well, then you have to look at 1/6 of 8. And 1/6 of 8 is 8/6. It's taking 8 things and dividing it into 6 equal parts. We're multiplying it by 1/6. So 1/6 of 8 is equal to 8/6. And that simplifies to 2 times 4 over 2 times 3. These 2's factor out or cancel out, so they equal 1, and you're left with 4/3. Same thing up here, 1/6 times 4 times 8 is 8/6, and these 2's factor out. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and you're left with 4/3. Now another way to solve this equation is to factor out 6 here. So divide 12x by 6, that equals 2x, and divide a negative 6 by 6, that equals negative 1. So now it's 6 times what's inside these parentheses. And then you can multiply through by 1/6. 1/6 of all of this is going to equal 1/6 of 10. Well, if I have 10 things, 1/6 of those 10 things is 10/6. 10 divided by 6. So 1/6 of 6 things is going to be one of those things. So it's 1 times 2x plus negative 1, or just 2x plus negative 1, which is right here. And 1/6 of 10 is 10/6. Now to go from this step to this step, I'm going to add 1 to both sides. And I want to add 1 to 10/6. That means I'm going to change that 1 to 6/6. So 10/6 plus 6/6 equals a total of 16/6. I have 10 of something. I'm going to add 6 more of those same things. I'm going to get 16 total things. And then I'm going to take 1/2 of those 16 things. Well, 1/2 of those 16 things is 8 of those things. So 1/2 of 16 is 8, but it's 8/6. It's 6 that we're talking about. So 1/2 of 16/6 is 8/6. And you can look at this as just multiplying 16/6 times 1/2. And 16 divided by 2 is 8, and you get 8/6, and 8/6, as we saw before, simplifies to 4/3. So a slightly different way of doing that. You could have just added a positive 6 to both sides, you get 12x equals 16, x equals 16 twelfths, and 16 twelfths will simplify to 4/3. Could have done it that way as well. As I rewatched this video, I was a little bit bothered by this first step right here, which says divide both sides by 2. So divide this side by 2 and divide this side by 2. What it should say, I think, is divide each term by 2. So you divide 12x by 2 to get to 6x, divide 6 by 2 to get to 3, and you divide 10 by 2 to get to 5. Because if it says divide both sides by 2, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. I look at that, we'll come back to this in a moment, I look at that as 12x minus 6 divided by 2 equals 10 divided by 2. This is dividing both sides by 2, and then you get, if you rewrite 12x minus 6 divided by 2, that's the same as 1/2 of 12x minus 6. 12x minus 6 times 1/2, and that equals 5. You distribute this 1/2. 1/2 of 12x is 6x, and 1/2 of 6 is 3. So then you get down to here of 6x minus 3 equals 5. I think the better way to have done this is to add one more step, which says factor out the 2, or I think factor out the 2. So 12x divided by 2 is 6x, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So you factor out this 2. So now you have 2 of these groups. 2 times 6x minus 3 equals 10. And then you have this step of divide both sides by 2. So if you divide this side by 2, it becomes 6x minus 3. And you divide this side by 2, that becomes 5. I think that's the better way to have done this problem.